Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel. We are back here again today. Today, we're going to be reacting to this video. It's from Sneako. Sneako, I'm sure most of you know who this is. I believe he's American or perhaps Canadian. I'm actually not sure. He's a young man, probably about my age, that has been streaming content for some time, and he's gained a significant following and recently reverted to Islam. And I just want to say, I think this is amazing, and I think it's very impressive. I think when you consider his age and the amount of influence he has and the things he has access to, for him to accept Islam shows a lot of sincerity. It shows a lot of maturity and wisdom. Because, yeah, like I said, he could easily embrace hedonism and, you know, a lot of stuff. Like I said, he's young, he's got a lot of influence, he's famous on the internet. He could get basically whatever he wants, and instead he chose to revert to Islam. So I think that's amazing. And here in this clip, he's giving dawah to this girl, and this is great. This is so amazing. So not only does Sneako revert to Islam, he's also trying to share the message with others, and I think that's amazing. I believe we're all obligated to do that. And so let's just take a look here at how this goes. First, before we get into the video, brothers and sisters, I'd like to take the opportunity to remind you that Allah tells us in the Quran, who is better in speech than one who invites to Allah and does righteousness and says, indeed, I am one of the Muslims. Brothers and sisters, I'm introducing a shirt that I designed to inspire and encourage you to spread the message of Islam to those around you, inshallah. These shirts are 100% cotton, so they're both comfortable to wear, but they also have a simple design that serves as a great conversation starter, an invitation to those around you that are perhaps curious about Islam, providing you an opportunity to share the beauty of Islam and the truth of it with others and receive the blessings and rewards as a result. So I invite you to wear this t-shirt with pride and let it be a reminder to always strive towards giving dawah and sharing the message of Islam with those around you. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Let's get into the video.
When do you think you're gonna grow up and accept Islam?
That was already a strong opening. When do you think you're gonna grow up and accept Islam? Okay, interesting approach so far.
What's the one true religion?
Well, someone needs to convince me first. I would have to need a full-on convince stream, you know, or something.
Okay, I can give you dawah right now before we have a lot of stuff to react to, chat. But should I? Type of one if I should give her dawah right now. I tried to last time, and then you just went off a tangent. I started explaining. You're like, "What about Buddhism?" Like I didn't even.
Yeah,
finish.
I'm so good. I kind of want you to read about.
I
Buddhism.
think you just like Buddhism because you can just do a bunch of haram stuff and then not really get any repercussions for it.
It's just.
He's being really strong off the bat. He's being super. He's being a little aggressive. But let's see. I mean, he may know this girl. That may be the approach she needs. But I think that kind of approach may be better for men because women are a little bit softer. They're a little bit more emotional. So like for a man, you can call him out like that. Be like, hey, when are you going to grow up and stop doing all this haram stuff? And a man will be like, oh man, you're probably right, bro. But I don't know. I think let's see. She's saying it's about love.
Like love and everything around you, and like God and universe is everything. That's kind of what it is about.
Okay, it's about love. So she said a few things there. She said it's about God, it's about love, and or she said it's about love, and she said it's about God is the universe, God is everything around you, or something like that. We'll see what Sneako says, but right here I would say, well, can you define love for me? And then also, you know, we take that whatever direction, and then you could also ask the question, how is God the universe if God created the universe? God can't be the universe if God created the universe. Because if God was the universe, then that means God had to have existed before the universe existed to create the universe. So God can't be the universe. Anyway, let's see what Sneako says.
It's just about love, and
It's
I like
just about
that.
love. So
yeah, I like that.
So you just
Love
do
is
whatever
everything.
you
You
want.
love everything. You love awareness and existing. Like that's like really cool. Doesn't that sound cool?
Are there any rules?
I actually don't know. I don't know.
Actually, I don't know. So it's like, it's about love, but like, and then what do you do with that? What first off, define love, and then yeah, what do you do with that?
Too much about it, but like
It
just the
sounds
main
like,
idea
that's
of
what I'm
it.
saying. It sounds like you just like it because there's no repercussions for your actions in Buddhism.
I don't know if like negative rules, like making people not do certain things is. I like the idea of just like being aware, like not being forced is like a certain thing. Otherwise, you're not like a real thing for it, or whatever.
Not being for. I think she's trying to say like, she doesn't like the strict rules of Islam. She said it's forced to be a certain thing, otherwise you're not a real Muslim. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes people kind of see Islam as like really strict, and you got to be a little bit soft with them, and also inform them that like it's not like a Marine camp, like boot camp or anything. No one's gonna like yell in your face and tell you to pray 5 times a day. You know, you take baby steps. Like I remember when I first became Muslim, you know, I didn't pray Fajr for like probably 2 or 3 weeks. I thought, I'm a new Muslim, but I did pray. I didn't pray all 5 of my prayers because realistically, it was just too much. That's just too much to ask somebody that's never prayed a single prayer in their life to suddenly pray 5 times a day. It's probably not going to go well. It's kind of like if you take somebody that has never exercised before and then you make them exercise every day, it's not going to last very long. So you have to take baby steps. And Islam, it's the same way. You take it slowly. Don't worry about it too much. You just do what you can, you know, day by day, and inshallah, it's enough.
You're not like a real thing for it, or whatever. Like, yeah.
Okay,
That's probably
why do you think the entire universe? I'll explain it to you the way I found Islam. How do you think everything was created?
Nice, good question.
Everything that you see, everything that's around us.
Oh, I have
everything
absolutely
exists.
no idea. That's like the question that we're all asking, right?
So she already admitted she has no idea. Okay.
We have no idea why we're here or what we're doing.
Well, don't you sometimes have you noticed, because you believe in love all the time, that there must be an instance of something divine? Like sometimes when you're in nature and then the birds will come at a certain time, or you look at the ocean and the way the waves hit, or you look like the way a flower grows, or you see a baby and how pure it is, that there's something, or like the patterns you see, how some plants look like genitals, for example, or how you see things that look alike. Like sometimes you can look in the sky and things look like an eye, for example. You see a lot of patterns and there's a lot of signs. Can you admit that you've seen a lot of signs that show that there must have been some sort of divine creator?
I'm not really sure if it would be a divine creator.
I think he maybe should have used the word intelligent creator there. I really like his point here, though. I like how he just kind of started all the way from this point of, you know, pointing out how there's a lot of things in the universe that, man, when you really think about it, it's like there's intelligence behind that. There's intelligence behind that. You can't really deny it. So I think if he would have used the word intelligent creator here, maybe it would have got the gears in her head turning a little bit more.
Creator, that would be like the answer to it, but that things are really magical, yeah.
Okay.
But
so
it
if things are
necessarily-
magical, then it doesn't mean that everything that you see is not just random.
This is a big question here. Well, when somebody tells you whether or not everything's random or not, you get a deep look into what their worldview is.
There's
It could be.
You've noticed patterns.
Yes, we do notice patterns.
Okay, so once you here's the thing. A lot of people don't understand this. Once you say that there's a pattern to something, by definition, it cannot be random. Okay, if you look in mathematics, the definition of random is a complete lack of pattern. If something has even a small amount of pattern, it's not random by definition. So if you agree that you look outside and you see patterns, well, our universe by definition wouldn't be random. So that would imply that it is ordered in some way. And for something to be ordered, it has to be it has to be ordered by something, right? Okay.
But we also put things together that doesn't necessarily have to be a pattern. Like an animal wouldn't notice probably a pattern in the same way as a human does, right? So
An animal wouldn't notice a pattern in the same way a human does. Well, I guess I don't know how to reply to that.
Could be the case that we're just like seeing things different way. Like if I take mushrooms.
How do you know that's not true that animals don't see patterns? For example, like they all are connected. You see birds fly in a flock, and they don't even communicate in a way that we understand.
Yeah, it might be the case that they are seeing it, but like okay.
Like an animal is a pattern. Also, it's like I guess I don't understand her point. Like just because animals don't see patterns means that patterns aren't real. So if patterns aren't real, then you can't do math. You can't have a conversation. You can't really do anything. Like for example, I know that when I press the power button on my laptop, it's going to turn on, and I notice that it does every time I do that. So I can logically deduce that there's a pattern there. And yeah.
There's someone there that must have created this.
I don't know about that.
It can't just exist from nothing.
Okay, so she's protesting a little bit here when he's talking about a creator. It may be because he said someone. I notice some people, when you say someone or he created, when you use like a masculine pronoun for the creator, sometimes people will be put off by that just a little bit. So let's see what her problem is here.
No, but I don't know if it's a person or
there you
like.
go.
I didn't say a person.
No, it could
Sneako, you did say someone.
be just like the universe itself.
Sure.
Could be a creation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So something created it.
Or the universe created itself, maybe.
Oh no. Okay, here's the thing. You can't. Nothing can create itself because you have to look at the word create, right? What's the definition of create? Create means that it didn't exist and then suddenly it did exist, or maybe not suddenly, but at one point it didn't exist and then because of the creation it does exist, right? So in order for something to create itself, that means that it had to have existed before it existed to create itself. You see how that's illogical? Doesn't make any sense, right? You can't exist before you exist. So it's the same thing for the universe. The universe can't exist before it exists to create itself. That doesn't make any sense. So that's why there logically necessarily has to be a creator outside of the creation, independent of the creation, to create the creation, an eternal, uncreated thing that creates, that is the creator, right? Not the creation, but the creator. It's independent of the creation.
And we don't know if it's a creator, if it's just like the universe that happened.
It doesn't happen.
This girl is funny.
To be you're attributing the image of a creator, and that maybe that's holding you back. But something, in essence, whatever you want to believe in it, if it's love, if it's the universe, there is something that created everything.
Sneako's got the right idea here. I think he just isn't sure how to articulate it.
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, we don't know that. But let's say that it is.
The key thing that he's missing here is to refute logically her point that the universe created itself. That doesn't make any sense. And I think, I honestly think if this girl understood that, if he explained that to her, she might concede.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you have to look at the one religion that respects that there is one creator and that acknowledges the only monotheistic religion, and that's Islam. Islam has stood the test of time.
True.
The book is written 1,400 years ago, hasn't been altered.
It's
and
true.
then everything that came from Muhammad's, peace be upon him, that came from his mouth when he was reciting the Quran, he didn't even really know how to read and write properly. He was sent by the creator, and he just started reciting these words. He started telling exactly what Allah wanted him to say.
This is going right in her ear and out the other ear. She didn't agree with him on the creator thing, and then so for him to say that now she doesn't believe in a creator, so for her to believe that a creator sent a human to explain to all other humans how to live, this is going to be very difficult for her to believe. But let's see what she says.
And then they were able to go and transcribe it. And from that day, he was able to describe the patterns in the universe. He was able to describe the waters, and he even...
And I'm not trying to discredit Sneako here either. Everything he's saying is true. Everything he's saying is true. And this is like hindsight. He could probably watch back the same footage and pick out the same things that I'm saying, but...
He knew that there was an orbit. He knew about the sun and the moon and what times of day that we should pray and how it correlates to the rest of the planets. There's a lot of signs in the Quran that show that it cannot just be from the mouth of a human.
That's
it can't
true.
just be. It must have been the creator sending him a message.
Or how do you know that it's just one creator, not plenty?
How do you know that it's not one creator and not plenty? Because we know that because it would be illogical for there to be many creators, because at the end of the day, you're always going to have to go back to one creator that created everything. Because if there's multiple creators, then if there's multiple things, then where did those multiple things come from? There has to be one thing that's eternally uncreated at the very beginning. So there can't be plenty of creators, because if the creator is all powerful, then how do you have multiple all powerful gods? You can't, because that they would cancel each other out in some way.
How would you know that for sure?
Because even if there are plenty of creators or plenty of prophets, which there were, there's always has to come to one.
Yeah, there you
Something
go.
must have created everything.
We don't know that. I feel like there's no proof of that.
He's right. He's right.
That there's one creator or there's multiple.
Nothing can exist without somebody creating it.
Yeah,
without
true.
something.
Yeah, but who
creating it.
created that person and who created the God?
Who created the God? That's always the question they ask. But who created God? Nobody, nothing. That's why one of the attributes of God is that God is uncreated. That logically has to be one of the attributes of the Creator, is that the Creator is uncreated, because it is the Creator, not the creation.
It has to end at one point. It has
Yeah,
to.
but who created the God in that case?
That's where it ends. There must
Yeah, but you said that it can't end.
Sneako.
So what if there's like several gods? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Even if there were several gods or several prophets, for example, it always has to go back to one divine creator, something that is greater than us, greater than we can even conceptualize, greater than we can even understand.
Like, it sounds like you're telling me, or maybe you're not, that all the things that's in the Quran or the Bible or whatever, there's a bunch of like rules, right? How do we know that those rules are actually real? Because you say like, oh, we see everything around us, so we must think that there has to be a bunch of like, there has to be a God, there has to be things that, because there's patterns around us, we can read into those patterns, how to live life in the best way possible. So how do we know that the things that's in the Quran is actually the correct way of living?
Because we are the one species that we don't just act, we can think before we act.
Her question there was really interesting. I think she maybe misunderstood Sneako's point a little bit. She said something about like reading into patterns to figure out the best way to live, right? But basically her question was what? How do we know that what's in the Quran is actually the correct way of living? Well, yeah, you gotta really, really step it back. But I mean, to believe in the Quran, I think first you have to believe that in a creator, and then you need to believe that creator sent prophets to us. And so, yeah, I think they're a little bit too deep now. I think maybe they need to actually take a few steps back, because this girl can't even first comprehend that there's a creator.
The Quran is actually the correct way of living.
Because we are the one species that we don't just act, we can think before we act. Other species, they're born and then they know exactly what they have to do. They don't contemplate the same way we do. They don't hold a banana, or they don't hold a piece of fruit. A flower doesn't look at itself and think, I don't want to be a flower.
I asked about the patterns. Like, why do you...
That's funny. A flower doesn't look at itself and think, I don't want to be a flower. Yeah, it's also like, you can yourself look at a flower and just think like, wow, flower. You don't see other animals do that, like look at their own hand and be like, what is this? You know what I mean? But humans, we do this stuff all the time. You see little kids do this kind of stuff, where they just kind of stare at themselves, or they get lost looking at something, and they're just kind of contemplating the nature of that thing. Animals just act based on instinct, whereas humans, we kind of have this conscious mind that has the ability to contemplate.
The rules in the Quran are the rules that
because the rules
real
apply
ones.
For us, for people, because
but isn't the same thing in the Bible?
It is, but the Bible.
No, the Bible was sent by Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, and that only applied to the Jews. Every prophet was sent for a specific people at a specific time, right? So Moses was sent for the Israelites. Jesus was sent for the Jews, peace be upon them both. And Muhammad, peace be upon him, was sent for all humans until he was sent, or from the time he was sent until the end times. And so, yes, for the people in the time of Jesus, the Bible was the way to reach God, to go to heaven, to live, the best way to live, right? But now we're post-Muhammad, peace be upon him. We're living in a post-Muhammad world. So the way for us to live is what's in the Quran and the example of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And so there's a little bit different. I think it's a little bit different, and some people kind of get confused by that. Well, like, oh, well, if they're all prophets and they're all from God, then why can't I just follow the Bible, or follow what the Jews do, or follow what the Muslims do? I can just take my pick, right?
That's true. But the Bible has more inconsistencies.
Yeah. So Sneako just barely missed this point here. I think he probably knows this. It probably just slipped his mind. It's easy to do when you're kind of in the heat of the moment, having a conversation. A little bit easy to forget stuff like this. But inshallah, Sneako, maybe Sneako watched this video and he see my point here. Let's see what he says. What did he say here? The Bible. Yeah. So he goes on to in the Bible there's inconsistencies, which this is also true. Also a good point, Sneako.
And does not they believe in the Trinity. They don't believe in one creator. They believe that Jesus was also God. So and a man cannot be God. There has to be one divine creator. That's an inconsistency, a hypocrisy within the Bible that doesn't make sense. In Islam, there's just one creator, and we worship him. And even if you look at the Bible, Jesus, he prayed down. He put his head to the floor when he worshipped.
Wasn't he
Allah.
praying at God? Was he praying to himself?
He was praying to God. That's why the Bible
But he is
didn't
a
get
God
everything right
as well. Is it true God?
The Christians got it wrong.
They got it wrong.
They thought that Jesus was God. He was one of the prophets, peace be upon him, that was sent by Allah. But Muhammad peace be upon him, was the final prophet. So the Christians were.
This is all just going right over her head, I'm pretty sure.
They have been misguided. They think that.
She's thinking what?
But if you look in the Bible, Jesus would pray exactly the way Muslims do. Jesus believed in the Father. Jesus believed in God.
Wasn't Jesus
in
a
essence
Jew?
Was a Muslim. He was ethnically a Jew, but the way he prayed in the worship and the way he believed, he was Muslim.
Facts.
I see.
Mashallah.
They don't say that in the Bible, but everything that he practiced, like you could definitely argue that Jesus was a Muslim.
Facts.
Not ethnically, but theologically, yeah.
Like
Regardless,
Sneako did a great job, man.
this is what you're saying. Everything has a beginning. You see what you're saying?
yes,
Everything comes.
But something happens
Okay, now we're back to the God creator thing. Good. All right.
before that too. There's things
Exactly.
that come. There's a lot of things that happen.
And do you know what happened before that? If you go all the way back, it must have been a divine creator. That's the only explanation for the universe.
Tell her why, though, Sneako. You're saying the truth, but she doesn't understand why. You gotta tell her why.
You can't just go back
or it could just go on forever,
No, cannot.
and everything just kind of like happen. We don't know
Everything just kind of like happened. She said.
if it has to
If
start.
it does go on, if the universe does go on forever, it must have had a start.
No.
Nothing can go on forever without a beginning.
Okay, look. She's already admitting God's real. She's saying, well, it just goes on forever. God goes on forever. That's the thing. Something does go on forever, but it's not the universe. Actually, if you look at scientists have looked at the fundamental particles that make up the universe, and they found that for some reason or other, the makeup of these particles seem to be unstable, implying that they will actually come to an end. So they won't last forever. This whole creation, everything you're looking at, everything we're made out of, it won't last forever. It's not forever. But God, the creator, is. So this forever she's talking about, that is God.
Well,
And
not
you've explained
really.
that just now by not bringing up anything that does not have a beginning.
No, but like life could, sure, like something like existing or
Life
living or like
begins.
becoming like a thing that we can physically see. We can like think about a flower as an individual thing. But before that flower was a flower, it was something else.
Before the flower was a flower, it was something else. Yeah, but at some point it became a flower, right? So that's the act of creation. That's
going in circles now.
No, this is legit what it is.
yeah. She's saying before a flower, it was something else. So that means it just goes on forever. But at some point you trace that all the way back, and it can't be forever, because again, for something to exist, that must be created, and for it to be created, something had to exist before it to create it, right? So I think if she understood this concept, I think this is what she's standing on, and she needs to understand that it doesn't really make sense.
Right.
Right, but
Like the atoms was something else before that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But who created the atoms? Where the atoms come from?
Yeah.
We agree.
You're explaining that everything comes
Sneako said, yeah, we agree.
from a beginning and an end, but you haven't given me an argument for why that is.
Because
Oh, what'd she just say? You explain everything comes from a
You're
beginning.
explaining that everything comes from a beginning and an end, but you
Yeah.
haven't given me an argument for why that is.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. Like, you just got to say why. I think he's just struggling to articulate that.
Because I explained a long time ago, but you don't seem to understand. There's nothing that humans are able to conceptualize that does not have a beginning. There's no example of anything you could bring up that does not start somewhere.
Good point.
So if you think that the universe created itself, that doesn't make any sense. We have never seen anything that didn't come from a start. Everything has a start. The only...
Well, it's not only that, again, it's not only that we've never seen anything that doesn't have a start, it's that it's impossible.
explanation for how everything was created, because as part of Allah's creation...
Rather, it's not impossible for something not to have a start. It's impossible for something to create itself.
The only explanation is something must be divine that we are not able to understand because it's better and because it's greater than us that created everything that exists. Something cannot create itself.
Well said.
That has never existed in existence, and there's no point in arguing that.
Well, we don't know that.
But
100%, like, we
if you
can't
have
know that.
never seen that, if you have never understood that to be the case, then why argue for that?
What am I? I'm not arguing for a God. I'm not arguing.
You're arguing against God.
Yeah, I don't think there's like an individual that has created everything, and that's all that goes back to. I think we don't know. That's what I think, because it doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't think
know.
there's an individual or a start. I don't. I feel like it's probably just infinity.
Yes, God is infinity, yes.
How could... Okay.
I feel like everything is just infinity.
All right, but you need to stop going based off of what you feel and think about what makes sense. It's irrefutable that everything we are aware of has a start. True or false?
I think I know of that. I don't think I believe that, actually. I mean, you could start it from a certain spot, but there has been stuff that's happened beforehand, just like the flower. Like, before the flower was a flower, it was something else. So there's not, like, we don't know if there's a start or an end. That's kind of the whole thing, yeah. Agree to disagree.
I tried.
Mashallah. Sneako said, I tried. Yeah, good. He's putting in an honest effort there, and you can see, like, he really gets it, and he's really trying to get that girl to get it. But I think he's just can't articulate it in a way that girl can understand. Inshallah, make dua for this girl to understand the truth. And Sneako, make dua for Sneako as well. How beautiful is that, man? Sneako reverted to Islam. I've been watching him for a while, like not like too much, but like he's everywhere. He's freaking everywhere when you scroll through social media. And like the people he would hang around and stuff, I just thought, like, man, for him to, because I knew he was kind of interested in it, but I thought, man, for him to actually revert, like, that would be something, because I know that with his amount of influence and stuff, that comes with a lot of worldly things, and those, dunya blockages can make it pretty hard to see the truth. Can make it pretty hard. So, mashallah. Sneako here has reverted, and he's already given dawah, so may Allah bless him generously, and may Allah bless you all generously for watching this video with me, and inshallah we will see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.